Hey, Zach Scott here with another quick tutorial. This upcoming theme week is going to be Critter Week, so I'm encouraging all of you to make videos including head crabs, bull squids, snarks, any old critter you can find in Half-Life 2 in celebration of Black Mesa Source releasing. Also antlions, grubs, anything you can find, pretty much anything that isn't a humanoid or a robot will be fair game for Critter Week. So I encourage any of you to just join up on OSFM and make some critter videos. More the merrier. We're going to have a lot of fun times. My personal goal is to get out at least one video every day for the week. And I invite many of you to be up to that same challenge. And in preparation of that, I'm just going to go over some quick tips on how to animate a head crab. They're a strange little guy that can be tricky for people to animate. But a great OSFM member, Jimbo MCB, he's the guy who made Nope.avi, which you've probably seen. He's been cracking out some great little rigs. Last week he had the baby turret rig, and this week he's doing some head crab rigs, which should be available at the start of the week for people to use. And they're just little IK rigs that should make it a lot easier to deal with these little head crabs. So keep an eye out for those, and I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of how to do some simple animations with them. This will be a demonstration about the head crab being on all fours, and I'm just going to have him walk a few steps forward and look around, and that should be enough to demonstrate some basic principles. So I've pretty much just spawned in Jimbo's head crab, and it's sitting here. It looks exactly like the regular head crab, except it has one or two more bones, and it has some more skin support. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by giving him some default noise. So I'm basically just going to set his pose. So I'm going to import his sequence, and I'm just going to drag in the regular head crab idle. Not that one with the feet, but idle 01. Yep. And so if you're not familiar with importing sequences, I just right-click on the animation set itself, go to Import, Sequence, and that lets me choose any animation that's already on this model. So I'm going to grab idle 1, and yep, that's what I want. And so now our head crab is in idle 1, and this isn't the only animation we're going to use, but it does make for a really great base for animation. You can leave it as it is, however this is an animation that's meant to be seen by the player standing about 40 feet away, so I'm going to tone this down a bit by just maybe grabbing the midpoint in one of these cycles, as you can see on the motion editor here. Sorry, I gotta scrub a bit over. I'm just going to grab the midpoint here, and I'm going to drag the playhead slider a little bit to tone this down, just so it's not quite so exaggerated. Because by default, it's kind of one of those animations that's so exaggerated you could see it from space. So cool, I got a head crab, and he's got a little bit of basic noise that I can work off of. So I'm going to go and I'm going to rig him. So I'm just going to go rig and attach the Headcrabs rig, and there's this rig that should work for all three different variants of head crabs when this thing gets released. Which again should be in a few days from now, so by the time the week starts it should be available for all. And so there's nice little controls in it. We got fangs, we got the head, which controls the front part. Interesting thing about this is that the fangs are separate from the head, so I find it's useful to just take the head and lock it onto the fangs so that the fangs move with the head. I'll probably get Jimbo to fix that. But there we go. Now the whole front head moves. Cool. So we got that control, and the other main controls we're going to want to deal with are the body. So if you check this out, now he's all in IK, so he's all planted here. So we can bounce him around. It's great, and his feet stay pretty planted. He's almost fully extended, so they won't be perfect. But if we want to move him around, we can. It's great. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to start by dragging him forward so he will look ridiculous, but then I'm just going to put in the feet plants. Let me do a quick note here. I am not a trained animator. I've picked up a few things along the way, but I've only been animating for about 3 months, and I definitely haven't gone to school for this, so if you check out Thomas Larson's tutorials, he can give you some much better step-by-steps on like theory of walk cycles and getting into the graph editor real deep. I'm not going to go over that. I'm just going to give you my dirty, probably bad way to animate this thing, but it looks funny, so we go. We got hole controls on this guy, so let me just get this out of the way. I know somebody's going to do it pretty quick, so I'm just going to grab the right and the left here, and yep, yeah, check that out. Yep. So now that that's out of the way, we can continue. And I'm just going to grab this head crab and make a few keyframes. So let's start, and I'm going to grab his body, being his body is basically the pelvis for our purposes. I'm going to go to the very early parts of this, and I'm going to go to select his whole rig. I even have hidden controls here, but that shouldn't be a big deal. And I'm going to make one keyframe, and less than a second later, I'm going to make another keyframe. And really the most important thing I found out about animation is that almost more important than the movements you're making is the timing that you're doing them with. So I got a nice quick animation here, not very long at all. Actually, it's probably even too long. I'm going to drag that in a little bit more. Though with this head crab, we're going to have to make some pretty quick foot movements because his back feet are pretty stumpy there. And I'm just going to start with those, actually. As a quadruped animal, so he's got 4 legs, what we're going to do is we're going to want to move the front right and back left foot at the same time, and then do the same for the other side. So what I'm going to do, and I've just set up my 2 keys, and I'm going to give him actually, I'm going to move him forward a little bit more on that second key. So a little bit more. There we go. Yeah. So he's just going to take 2 steps forward, and you'll see 2 steps, and you'll hopefully be able to figure out how to extrapolate that out. But yeah, so starting with front left, and then moving to back left. So with the Headcrab rig, L3 on all of his arms will be the foot, and then L2 and L1 are the elbow and clavicle, or the upper arm and clavicle. But yeah, so I'm going to, with the front left and rear right, yeah, with these guys selected, I'm going to make a keyframe right in the middle. Actually, with all my legs selected, I'm going to make a keyframe right in the middle. And for, yep, front left, I'm going to move front left at the halfway point forward so that it looks good. And I'm going to move rear right forward so that it looks good. So I got to go around to the other side to make sure. Yep, so, yeah. So up until this point in the animation, front left and rear right have been staying put. So if you watch, he moves those 2 forward, and then he quickly bunches up into a ball. Yep, bunches up into a ball. And so for front left and rear right, I can actually go ahead and delete this second keyframe. Yeah. There we go. He'll actually have to take a 3rd step. I think I might need to pull him in just a little bit earlier. Yep. Just go slightly less far, just to make things easier on me. Well, maybe a little further than that. This guy's tricky. I haven't actually tried to animate him on all 4s yet, so it's a bit sloppy for me as well. But yeah, so I got his rear leg here. So I've made his first position and second position, and I'm just going to a little bit in here, I'm going to pick his foot up, and actually, because he's a head crab, I'm going to pull his foot out a little bit too. It'll be really kind of a silly motion, but yeah. As long as his foot's up so that he can put it down. Yeah. So now if we look at the motion there, it twists a little bit, but it goes down. It's such a fast motion, I'm not going to worry too much, but you know, if you were a smart person, being real clean, you would want to clean that up. Actually, if I just do that a little bit more. Yeah, so there we go. He takes a step, and then he quickly outpaces his own foot almost immediately. Jeez. Cool, let's do that with the front leg too. And so I have front left. So front left has position 1 and position 2. So I'm going to take position 1, and I'm just going to make another keyframe up, because he's reaching. And go forward, and I'm going to move this up just a little bit more, and yep, so he picks his foot up and plants it, and meanwhile his other legs do very silly things. Cool. So he has, at this keyframe, he has both his legs planted, so we're going to move on to the other 2. So if we grab front right and rear left, it's going to make a keyframe, jump to the second keyframe and plant these nice and good. So let's start with rear left and pull you up so that you look nice. Yep. And yeah, that's all right. And for front right, let's pull you up so that you look nice. And I'll probably need to throw in one more step, so I'll make him reaching a little bit. keep in mind here, being super meticulous about this, because my style of videos is very quick and dirty, so I'm not generally incredibly meticulous about how I do things. Just doing the motion here, I'm going to pick his foot up, and I'm going to pick it up some more so he reaches. There we go. Yeah, so he's already got the front legs, and I just got to fix up that back leg. Cool, so let's grab rear left, because as a quadruped, he moves its legs one side at a time. So, yeah, so let's pick that foot up, and I'm going to have to move it forward to accommodate. Oh, gosh. He's got some fucked up leg problems. Oh, you know what I probably need to do? Is I probably need to start this foot even further forward. There we go. So I'm just going to copy that out and make that my new start location. So just copy and paste. There we go. Now I can actually get his foot into a position where it should be semi-decent. I'm going to bring it out to the side. What I would really be doing is picking up his hips, in theory, to clean this out. So if I were to grab his hips and pick them up some more, then I could fix up that leg positioning. Because as you can see, his leg, being such a short, stumpy leg, it does fold in on itself pretty quickly. I think actually his legs are supposed to bend backwards. Yeah, that would probably make this easier. Let me grab both his rear knees. This will make him look better. So when you're using the IK rigs, oh wait, no, that's not right. Backwards is wrong. Okay, never mind. For some reason I was thinking the Headcrab rig, like, get back. Meh. I've been playing this thing for like a day. But yeah, so we have, I guess we were on rear 3. So let's see. We have the pickup, and I'm just going to have him pick his foot up nice and big. And I'm just going to pick that up and move that forward and up and back a little bit. So as you can see, the curve goes up and then he plants it. And actually back here, I'm going to go up even more and maybe even back a little just because, hey, why not? Oof. So, yeah. So it's a very quick animation here where he takes two fast steps forward. And they look kind of silly, but, you know, he's a head crab, and we don't have to be perfect here. His rig is so kind of wonky that it's more about, like, you would really be in for a fight if you wanted to get this 100% perfect. Though I will tweak up that rear right, because it is bending a little bit more. So let's see. Since he's a four-legged animal, we can get away with having his feet up at weird times, I think. Yeah, so I'm just going to pick that up and put that down on the ground forward. Notice how I totally did this leg bad and wrong. Yep, so as you can see, he takes a step forward. It doesn't look amazing, but we can make it look better. At this part in the tutorial, my microphone batteries ran out, so I'm going to record more narration and try to remember what I was saying. But so as you can see here, I've just finished up, basically just did the leg plants. So I started with the body motion, the leg plants. Now I'm going to add a little bit of body movement to get him moving up and down as he moves. So when he has 2 legs off the ground, I'm going to move him down so that he's dropping. And when he has 4 legs on the ground, I'm going to push him back up so that he's pushing off, basically. I don't want to fuck up his back leg there, so I'm going to go kind of basic. Try a bit of rotation out. So, you know, now he has a little bit of a bounce in the step, as you can see here. And it's starting to look a little more polished, so you can see he's got a little bit more animation going on. Yeah, what do I do next? Oh yeah, so I move him up a little bit more. Yep. Yep. Up and down. Yep. It's really hard to remember what I was saying. It was really good stuff, though. Cool. So I'm just going to do the same thing for his chest here, so that he's kind of... what I want him to do is I wanted to kind of pop up towards the end, so he'll... as he starts his walk, he's going to kind of lean forward into it, so he's kind of just walking head first almost. and then he'll pop his head up towards the end here. So as you can see, he kind of tilts his head down a little bit, and then right before the end, well, just before the end, I'll keep it down, and then pop it back up. So I'm just going to delete out that keyframe. So as you can see here, now he has a little bit more kind of a shifting of his weight as he gets there, and it's just starting to make this thing look a little bit more polished. So cool. And I'm just playing around with the keyframes here on the graph editor after the fact. Once you have your feet plants, when you're using the IK rig, you can go hog wild with these body movements and really just get a lot of good stuff. Oh, it looks like the whole control functions are not actually parented to his chest here. So I'm just gonna stick them on so that they move with the chest around, so that it doesn't get weird. And I'm just gonna move his chest up a little bit more. You'll notice we can move the chest around a lot more than we can the body and still have the feet plant nicely, so that's fun. And as you can see, the more I do this, the more it kind of just gets nice and clean and fancy. Yeah, so I'm going to move on to the head, and I'm just going to kind of get his head down just like I did the chest, so that he's got a little bit of that elasticity here. So I'm just going to bend his head down a little bit, and move forward and keep his head bent down towards the end, and move the end out. So now he's just got a little bit more of that elasticity even still. So yep, so he's just got a little bit of that there, and he just brings his head up nice and quick. And it's just the subtle details like these that will go a long way and are actually a lot easier than you realize. It's funny enough, adding detail is sometimes the easiest part. Doing the big motions, like getting the legs planted, that's pretty tricky. But even if you do something basic like I did earlier, you can get something that's passable that gets the point across. And of course, with the head crab, you can do a lot of great things with him and not have to worry, because he's such a silly little guy, and he's an awkward, stumpy body that's you can get away with things looking a little bit crappy and still have it be pretty dang funny. I assume most of you guys are going to be playing this for comedy, though there might be some deep headcrab dramas in Critter Week. That'd be great and funny. So what I'm doing here is I just want to kind of add in a little bit of motion where he picks his head up and looks around, so that I can show you how powerful counter rotation can be. So I've timed out this nice little blocked motion, so as he moves forward, he gets his head pointed up, and it's all nice and fancy. Oh, Jimbo's saying something. Yeah, so he moves forward, sticks his head up, and looks around. So, yep. So I got a little bit of a keyframe here that's pissing me off, so I'm just going to try and delete that guy. There we go. That's a little bit nicer. I'm going to delete that keyframe as well, and tighten up the timing on this. Always make sure you get your timing right, because go pretty far in making things look nice. So, yep. So he just picks his head up nice and quick. And again, not worrying about the IK rig, or not worrying about the feet plants, because I got the IK rig to cover that. I'm just going to grab his head motion and do a little bit of counter rotation, so that he starts with his head basically forward and he ends with his head basically forward. But in the middle, I'm just going to tilt it down, so that as he moves his body up, his head moves down, so that it kind of gets that snapping motion that really just sells the whole thing. It really makes it feel like he's an animal with joints that are moving around, and it sells the elasticity of his fat little stumpy chub body. Pretty great. So yeah, now you can see how that just quickly just brings a little bit of life and personality to him. So he's just kind of more alert and into it here. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same with his chest bone in a second here. And again, just use that counter rotation to just get him kind of picking himself up in a nice, interesting way. You'll notice that with the chest bone, it's not quite the same, because I'm rotating him in a different position. So now it's more like he's humping the ground here, which isn't quite what I wanted. So instead of doing rotation on the chest bone, I'm going to push him down a little bit, so that instead of swinging up, he'll just pop up a little bit. So he pushes down and then picks himself up. So we quickly just get a slightly layered animation here with quite a few keyframes just driving it all, and it's starting to look nice. So I think that's about all I can do here, except yeah, there's just one little final touch I want to add on here, which is quite possibly the most important thing when you want to make your head crab look realistic, is just go into TF2 and look for Sore Eyes, the Sore Eyes prop. And what you want to do is you just want to spawn that. Don't even look at it. Just grab it and lock it to the head. So grab the head and drag it onto the BIP head and drag the default slider to slide it over. And what you want to do is you just want to grab that and start positioning it up so that it's in exactly the perfect alignment. And this is just like this is critical. This is the most important step in this whole scenario here. So you just want to drag that up and kind of just get that position in exactly the right spot. So you know, move it back, get it nice and locked on. You know, push it in, not too far. You don't want to clip it through the head. You just want to get it resting right on top of the face, and this will go a long way towards making your head crab give a much more realistic and nuanced performance. So, as you can see here, he's now you know, you can see behind his eyes that this head crab is thinking to the world around him. So he just takes a couple steps forward, checks the place out. Oh, and he noticed something. It's a very quick little way that you can add some life to your performance by attaching these great googly eyes. But yeah, so that's a quick little animation tutorial. I got some feet plants, I got some body motion, and hopefully watching this and watching how easy and crappy I was able to pull it off, you'll have a little bit more confidence in what you can do for Critter Week. Drop by OSFM and join us, and we'll have a great time. That starts next Sunday and goes through to the following Sunday. Make a video with a head crab or a monster of some sort, post it up, and I will add it to the playlist, and we are out of time. 3, 2, 1. Yeah!